Hi everyone, today we're going to see how you can make natural vegan wax at home, like the one you see here. You can make it with our kit available on the website, or you can also find it ready-made on our site. It looks like this, and it's a furniture wax, by the way. It smells amazing, that you can also use on the paint from the Myrestyling kit. I'll show you how to make it. On the Myrestyling website, you'll find this kit, which consists of a sachet containing 2 solid waxes, Candelilla wax and Carnauba wax. Thank you. There's also a small bottle that contains jojoba oil and cooked wine oil. Jojoba oil is actually not an oil, but a liquid wax. So you'll find this kit. The melting point of the solid waxes is about 90 to 95 degrees Celsius, which is why we melt them in a double boiler using a container that can withstand at least 100 degrees Celsius. So in my case, I took a jam jar. I reused this little jar and we pour about 200 milliliters into the container, where we'll then place our little jar, a fairly large container that is. At this point, I take my glass jar and pour in the contents of the kit. Let me remind you that the kit consists of this sachet containing the 2 solid waxes and the small bottle containing jojoba oil and boiled linseed oil. The 2 solid waxes are Carnauba wax and Candelilla wax, but in any case, everything is written on the packaging about how to do it. So I pour in my 2 solid waxes, they're vegetable waxes, and then I take my little bottle and pour in the jojoba oil and the boiled linseed oil. Jojoba oil, by the way, is also a vegetable wax. There's just a little bit of boiled linseed oil, which helps the wax adhere to the wood and reduces the formation of streaks after application. So at this point, I've poured everything into my glass jar and I put it into the container with water to cook it in a bain-marie. At this point, I take an electric hot plate. Make sure to use only an electric hot plate, no open flames, so no gas, because the wax fumes are flammable. Then I place my glass jar with the whole mixture on it. Now I'll show you, let me turn it so you can see better. Perhaps you can observe it much more clearly like this. There you go. Then I proceed to activate my electric hot plate. I carefully set its temperature control to approximately 3.5 on a comprehensive scale of 5, and we patiently await about 10 full minutes for the water to gradually come to a vigorous boil, diligently stirring the contents from time to time. In the meantime, I'll also tell you why I decided to create a vegan wax. I'm not exactly vegan myself. Let's say I don't eat meat, but that's just a matter of taste. I simply don't like meat. But I do care about animals, and if we can avoid stressing them or making them suffer, that makes me even happier. So let's say that vegan wax is an eco-friendly and environmentally respectful choice. And why am I telling you this? Do you know how beeswax is extracted? Bees produce wax through glands they have on their abdomen, and they use it to build their hive. Basically, with the wax they produce, bees create all these hexagonal cells that then go on to form their nest. Then the wax is extracted by the beekeeper from this hive, and theoretically beekeepers should use so-called exhausted hives, meaning those old nests that the bees no longer use. They take the honeycombs, melt them with steam using special machines, and extract the wax. But what is the real problem? It's true that bees abandon old honeycombs because they often deteriorate or get invaded by moths, so after a while the bees might build new nests. However, very often it happens that the bees go back to reclaim the old honeycombs and clean them out because they are capable of cleaning them, especially honeybees, the ones that make honey. In fact, if the honeycombs break, they repair them with new wax. This is because it's a huge expenditure of energy for bees to always make new honeycombs, so they often prefer to reuse the old ones and clean them. Therefore, taking them away to melt them down and extract the beeswax is, from a certain point of view, in my opinion, a lack of respect towards the bees, who then have to work and work again so much to build new honeycombs. So this is a huge source of stress for the bees. That's why, if possible, and it is possible as I'm showing you, it's better to use vegan wax which doesn't interfere with beeswax. Candelilla wax, Carnauba wax, and jojoba oil are 3 plant-based waxes, so choosing to use these instead of beeswax is a more respectful choice for the ecosystem and the environment. Not to mention that wax made this way has nothing to envy from beeswax. It has extremely high emollient and protective properties. similar to beeswax, but without exploiting or stressing animals. So we have the same product, maybe even slightly better, without exploiting animals. This is a wonderful thing. Right now the water isn't boiling yet, but in the meantime I'm starting to stir it slowly. I've also moved the camera higher so you can see better. There are still some pieces, but they gradually break down as the temperature rises. You see, there are still some little pieces, but they'll melt soon. You need to wait until the water actually starts to boil. Now, once it reaches boiling point, you can see that the wax has completely melted. So let's say the melting of the wax is finished. I turn off my hot plate, so I set it to 0 or to the lowest setting, whatever your hot plate has. Using an oven mitt, and make sure to use pot holders because it's hot, I take my little pot and I remove it from the saucepan. Be very careful because it's really hot. Now I remove everything. I take away my little pot and also the electric hot plate since I don't need it anymore. Always be very careful. So use pot holders, gloves and everything because it's really hot. So please be careful. Now I'll set things up a bit better so I can show you how I add the fragrance. So I take my essential oil. I have the cherry one, which is really amazing, just phenomenal. So if you buy the ready-made wax, it will have this cherry scent. I add about 10 to 15 drops, but you can decide for yourself. You can use whichever essential oil you like. The talcum one is also very nice, as is the rose one. Add as many drops as you like and then mix well. There you go. After that, I close it up and let it rest. It solidifies in about 30 minutes, but wait at least an hour before using it. Now here I also have a label that was already on the jar. You can also put one on yourself and I write the date on it. It's always important to put the date when you make things yourself. It's not that wax has an expiration date or, like paints, deteriorates easily. Wax lasts for months, even a year, but always put the date so you know when you made it. Now I want to show you the wax applied over my restyling colors. The wax looks like this once it's hardened, so just regular wax. Let's start with Rosaline, which is our pink. You can see how beautiful it becomes. It turns into a really intense color and looks completely different when it's protected compared to the regular color. Then we have Pico, which is, let's say, a teal blue. It's a unique color that you don't see often. It's a beautiful, very modern color. Next we have Foggy, which is a gray, a smoky gray, let's say. But you can see the color really changes when it's protected. And finally we have Olive, which is an olive green. This one also becomes much more intense with the wax. And then please remember this very important thing. Any excess wax must be removed immediately after applying it. Make sure to use a microfiber cloth to wipe it off right away. This is an important step because otherwise the wax won't crystallize. It just won't. It will always stay damp. So make sure you do it this way, and in a short time, 2 or 3 weeks, it will be crystallized. Now I'll show you the color palette: Rosaline, Peacock, Foggy and Olive, so you can also get an idea of what they look like once they're protected. That's it. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and remember to subscribe to the channel. Bye.